Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the latest in our HDBaseT Extended webinar series. My name is Daniel Schwartzberg. I'm the Head of Technical Education and Training for the HDBaseT Alliance, and I'm going to be your host for this webinar. We're very, very happy that you've joined us for today's session to discuss the importance of standardization in professional AV, as well as new benefits and opportunities for device manufacturers, for system integrators and end users through cloudification. Of course, we'll have time for Q&A after the discussion, so be sure to send in your questions at any time using the questions pane in the GoToWebinar panel that you'll find on your screen. Do also note that for anyone wanting a downloadable copy of today's presentation and access to a video recording of today's session, an email with links to both of those will be sent to you an hour after today's webinar ends. So without further ado, let's jump right in. We've brought together today a couple of great presenters, people who really are experts in their field in this industry. Our first presenter is Gabi Shriki. Gabi is from Valens, where he heads up the audio video business and is tasked with bringing products that advance the AV market and that build a strong HDBaseT ecosystem. Gabi brings with him more than 2 decades of experience in engineering as well as global business management positions, and that includes time spent as the head of the mobile connectivity solution business unit at TI. He has a BSc in electrical engineering and also an executive MBA. So he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience that he can bring to this discussion. Joining Gabi today is Omer Brookstein. Omer is CEO and co-founder of Xyte, which he founded in 2020. Omer, as I'm sure many of you know, has extensive experience in the AV industry as well. He has been in leading management positions at Crestron Electronics and actually was one of the co-founders of the company's local offices here in Israel. He's also a veteran of the Israel Defense Forces 8200 Cyber Intelligence Unit. He was a commander there, and he received numerous awards for the activities that he performed. And he brings also a BSc in computer science from the Hebrew University here in Jerusalem. So first of all, Gabi and Omer, thank you for joining us. Probably a good point now just to quickly say who Valens and Xyte are, should there be anyone on the call who's not familiar with the companies. I doubt it, but nonetheless, let's just quickly run through this. So Valens Semiconductor is, as many of you know, a global leader bringing high-performance connectivity solutions to transform industries and that allow customers to innovate really without any constraints. Valens's slogan is pushing the boundaries of connectivity everywhere, and they do so by providing long-reach, high-speed video and data distribution for the AV as well as automotive industries. Valens is the inventor of HDBaseT technology, which is the leading long-range multimedia connectivity standard in the Pro AV market. And also, they are one of the 4 co-founding members of the HDBaseT Alliance. The company's core competencies lie in its digital physical layer, or PHY implementation, which harnesses innovative AI-driven error correction techniques that learn and adapt constantly to the transmission of noise environment to ensure error-free data links. Xyte brings the first of its kind connected device platform, or CDP, which is a suite of cloud-based tools that enable equipment and device manufacturers in different industries to cloudify, service, to support and commercialize their connected devices, but all in one place. By bridging this gap between the devices and the cloud, Xyte's platform enables manufacturers and their channel partners to leverage this as a service business model to develop sustainable customer relationships and so offer exceptional customer service. Xyte is working with market-leading companies and, of course, their diverse ecosystems. And this includes hundreds of thousands of connected devices, and they are helping them unlock new opportunities for growth. Gabi, Omer, many thanks for joining us today. Omer, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear perfectly fine, Daniel. Thank you for having me today.
It's really great. So I'm just going to be a regular run through of a presentation. We've got some slides. I want this to be a dynamic conversation between you and Gabi. But if you'll both allow me just to set the scene for a few moments. And of course, we're talking about professional AV. And as we all know, I mean, Pro AV can be found everywhere. And we could dedicate an hour-long webinar purely to where you can find it. But just to simplify things, I mean, I think I've broken it down here just into a few key areas where AV is showing up. And we're talking about things like UCC, you know, collaborations and communications. More recently, especially training and education. We've been through a pandemic where both UCC and education became critical factors to ensuring life went on with some sort of normality. We see it in hospitality, entertainment, in corporate, in so many different areas. And of course, Pro AV allows us to give you enhanced productivity, to bring better customer experiences. So, for example, you know, with the education market, it allowed students in the classroom and students outside of the classroom to share the same kind of experience, right? Which beforehand really wasn't possible. So we see it everywhere. But what, of course, is critical to ensuring the success of these deployments is some form of device remote management or monitoring, or as we call it, RMM. Okay, so we have the systems. How do we manage them and monitor them remotely? There is, of course, in the industry a need for standardization. I mean, standards bring so many benefits. A key one is the ability for interoperability, the ability to purchase equipment from different vendors, all of whom are manufacturing systems that meet a standard. And now I can do a pick and mix. I don't have to buy all my equipment from a single vendor. So that's the beauty of a standard, is interoperability. This leads to a more widespread connectivity, right? When now I have a range of products that can interoperate, that allows my connectivity to get further in terms of the reach, the different markets, the different customers that wish to access it. Another benefit is that when we have a standard, manufacturing numbers are higher. So we have higher volume manufacturing, which brings us economy of scale, which offers lower manufacturing costs. Of course, with a standard, it allows us to innovate, it allows us to grow, it allows us to bring efficiency to the markets that we are playing in. Someone famous once said the great thing about standards is that there are so many to choose from. And really, I think, Gabi, at this point, I want to hand over to you, because yes, standards allow us to bring vendor agnostic connectivity, seamless communications, and here we see some examples.
Right.
So it would be good, you know, maybe you can share the importance, of course, with HDBaseT as one of the inventors of as the inventor, one of the founders of the alliance, but the inventor of the technology. Where do you see the benefits? We see other standards here, so where maybe do you see some of the limitations?
Great. So I think many of you are aware and very much understand the HDBaseT technology and the HDBaseT standard. For fairness here, we are showing Dante for the audio standard, very common, used in many of the end products by our customers, as well as SDVoE, which is a form of an AV over IP over 10 gig network. Each one of those is a standard by itself, and it operates in a silo. And in one respect, one would have loved to see one single standard that dominates everything. The reality is that all of these standards here are really more like a transport standard. It really helps multiple vendors create products that can interoperable between the silo it works. So HDBaseT vendors can work within that silo and are interoperable. Dante Audio as well as SDVoE can work within its silo, but there is no guarantee that an SDVoE device will work with an HDBaseT device, right? There are companies out there who realize the value of combining multiple transport standards and creating bridge products. So products that can receive and transmit HDBaseT signals and go over IP network. And combining the two technologies brings a lot of value. So why isn't there one standard that dominates everything? The key thing is that each of those standards solves a different problem. HDBaseT is superior in solving the small scale, the point-to-point, the uncompressed. The Dante Audio is relying on a specific protocol to differentiate, and from the AES-67, both of them are using audio over IP, but Dante brings a little bit more comprehensive offering in that respect. SDVoE very specializing on a very limited, narrow 10 gig only network. So when I want to solve a problem in the room, I rather use HDMI cables if I can. Those are uncompressed, cheap. However, they are short in distance, so I need HDBaseT to solve that problem. It makes no sense to use IP switch or encoders and decoders from the IP domain to solve that kind of a problem. Vice versa, bringing HDBaseT to solve a very large scale, let's take as an example, an airport signage application is not efficient. Over IP using the multicast, the broadcast capabilities makes a lot of sense. So each of those standards is solving a different problem. There is no silver bullet technology that solves everything for you. And this is where I think Xyte offering brings the biggest value. We need to stop thinking of unifying the transport, but actually focus more on unifying the way we manage those different end products, be it an HDBaseT product or SDVoE or Dante. We want to have a single vendor agnostic that can use the IP network for control, management, maintenance, and that's really where the interoperability and the standardization should focus. And this way, we help our end customer get the best of the different transport technologies to solve the right problem, and at the same time use standardized, IP-based management, maintenance, and control. And this is where Xyte offering is really shining. And Omer, maybe you can explain it.
So Omer, over to you. I think Gabi kind of set you up there for really a more detailed understanding of where this really can play. So please take it from here.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you both very much. Gabi, to your point, I think the key word is applications. Those are simply different applications, but what unique is that we find these different applications in the same enterprise or in the same school or in the same hotel and so on. You'll have the small huddle rooms or maybe a simple HDMI or an HDBaseT will be the best solution from cost and value to the customer. When you have maybe larger venues where you have to do any-to-any over longer distances over IP, and that's where AV over IP for video and audio makes the perfect solution. But at the end of the day, and then you mentioned RMM or remote management and monitoring, in the IT world, it's sometimes referred to as MDM, mobile device management. But at the end of the day, these IT teams, they need to have a single pane of glass in which they can manage, monitor, and connect to devices across different technologies, different vendors, and be able to monitor all of them in once again, a single pane of glass. And so that's, not everything that Xyte is doing, but definitely a big part of what Xyte is offering, and specifically for the very dear to our heart professional audio video industry. But as we look at a broader image, Gabi, cloud technologies, they've enabled so much for all of us for so many years, all the way from email to watching videos on Netflix, listening to music, and all the way to IoT, which is really the world we all live in. And they empower us to take some processes that previously were offline or manual and really streamline them, making them simpler and way more efficient. And our sole goal at Xyte is to empower the OEMs and device manufacturers, and of course their channel partners, and I'll touch and elaborate on that in a second, to very, very easily cloudify their devices and their services. And at the end of the day, the bottom line is to offer better products and better support for their customer, because this is what we're all looking for. And one of the things that is very unique about Xyte is that as you mentioned before, it really serves the whole value chain, from the device manufacturer to the channel partner, system integrator, managed service providers, and so on, all the way to the end users. Everybody can greatly benefit from using Xyte. So I'd like to use this slide to take a moment to elaborate a little bit how everybody can benefit from Xyte. So for OEMs that need to support their customers with advanced cloud-based capabilities and monitoring solution in the cloud, they can use Xyte, and with minimal time and cost to market, within only a few short weeks, they can have their own fully branded cloud solution for their customers. But the greatest thing is that once connected to the cloud, they open a whole new set of opportunities for their business partners, for their channel partners. And in the professional audio video industry, like many other pro and B2B industries, the channel partners, system integrators, value-added resellers, managed service providers, they're so critical for everything to work well, from designing to installing to offering services to their customers. And when we founded Xyte, it was clear that we needed to prioritize these channel partners and equip them with the right tools to run their businesses better and more efficiently support their customers with less truck rolling. This was a very key, or is a very key value position of the Xyte platform. And we wanted to make it as easy as possible for them. But on the other hand, also let them build on top of that their own unique offering, their own unique intellectual property, and develop their own cloud-connected products, models, and so on. And in a couple of slides, I'll be happy to show you how they can do all of that. And then, so we've touched on the OEM, we talked about the channel partners and system integrators, but then for the in-house IT, you mentioned before, I've been in this industry forever, and my customers, large enterprises, always ask me for simple to use, hopefully cloud-based cloud solution to manage their devices. So for the in-house IT, whether it's a university, an enterprise, or even a small, medium business with a smaller IT team and without the skill set to launch their own servers, Xyte offers a very, very simple to use cloud-based solution to once again manage, monitor, and configure their complete fleet of devices remotely to the cloud. Now, often end users prefer to outsource their day-to-day monitoring to their channels, and Xyte let them do that as well. And we'll wait to the end, but you're going to see the UX. It truly is the user experience our customers are asking for, that consumer-grade experience they're really looking for this in these modern cloud solutions.
Okay, so I think need is very, very clear. So maybe let's take us through a little bit about how you can actually connect up to it. Okay.
So one of the greatest things I think about Xyte is that it offers a lot of functionality straight out of the box, but also has an open architecture so that anyone can leverage our APIs, integrate with the platform, connect their own model, extract data. We try to be as open as we can to anyone with the right skill set to connect and leverage Xyte. So first and foremost, we are working with a large and growing number of OEMs to which we give a complete suite of cloud-based tools to manage their connected device business. While we have customers, like you mentioned before, they are from very different industries, the Pro AV is dear and close to our heart, and you'll see OEMs such as Avocor, Valens, AV Pro Edge, and others already connected to Xyte. During InfoComm, in just 2 months or so, you'll see more announcements from video and audio distribution companies, as well as additional display and video processing equipment manufacturers connecting their devices to the Xyte cloud. And by developing to Xyte, these OEMs make it very, very easy for their end users and their channels to manage and monitor their devices remotely with absolutely no coding required. It's very simple to use, self-use system to manage and monitor these devices. Then, since the AV industry has some other cloud solutions, some OEMs that are not natively supported by Xyte, we developed connectors to other common cloud services in the industry, including Crestron XIO, QSC Reflect, and the BrightSign Cloud. So once again, system integrators and end users, they can monitor these devices as well through a cloud-to-cloud communication. And obviously, you mentioned UCC before, Zoom and Microsoft Teams rooms are very big in our industry. So we have developed connectors for them as well. And that means that system integrators and end users can monitor these room devices regardless of their hardware manufacturers. So Poly, HP, Jabra, Crestron, all of these devices can now be monitoring directly to the Zoom cloud or the Microsoft Teams cloud. And finally, as I mentioned before, if Xyte does not currently support some devices or solution that the system integrator or end user is using, channel partners that have the right development skills can develop custom cloud-based modules and connect their custom devices and services to the cloud as well. So all these system integrators that are used to develop for custom system for AMX, Crestron, and other control systems can now cloudify their custom development and their custom intellectual property directly to the Xyte. And the bottom line is that having that ability for a single pane of glass to remotely manage and monitor your entire fleet of devices across the enterprise, the SMB, the university, or whatever it is.
So you really do bridge across, as Gabi was mentioning earlier, all of these different types of different standards, shall we say, each which has its benefits and maybe in some cases its drawbacks, but you're able to literally bridge across all of them. You're kind of agnostic to exactly what's going on at the far end, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
And no need to have programming skills or anything. You say out of the box, you don't need to, you're up and running, right? Very, very simple to use.
Yeah, so the first three levels, the top three levels are no programming required whatsoever. The last one does require some programming skills, right? But for those who can do that, that's a great option to cloudify their entire offering.
Amazing, amazing. So listen, actually, we've got a question which has come in, and it's I know, Gabi, you have a slide on this, so I think this is now going to be the time to ask the question, and then we'll transition to the slide for you. The question is, I already use HDBaseT products. How can I try this service from Xyte? And of course, Valens appears here on a logo. So maybe you can just give us some information on that. That's perfect timing.
Yeah, so we worked together with Xyte to integrate the client, the software client of Xyte, to be part of our evaluation kit. So the picture that you're seeing here on this slide is actually of our VS3000, the HDBaseT 3 product evaluation kit. We use that box here, we provide it to our customers, and they look at it, evaluate it, test it, and build products out of this. So what we did together with Omer's team is to make the necessary software running on a dedicated MCU that is on this box. In one end, it connects to the Xyte cloud, and on the other end, it's connected to our chipset, the VS3000, the HDBaseT 3 chip. For those of you who are not familiar with the HDBaseT 3, this is the first and actually, I believe, still the only chipset out there that can extend 4K 60 444 uncompressed to the far distance of 100 meters. And it's not only that it extends uncompressed 4K 60, but it also, at the same time, simultaneously on the same cable, can carry audio and gigabit Ethernet and data like USB 2.0 and RS-232 and other control signals, and everything even in parallel to power over Ethernet or power over the HDBaseT cable. So this is what we call 5-play: video, audio, data, control signals, and the power, everything combined simultaneously, uncompressed on a single cable. So with that, if you already have HDBaseT equipment, so you have a very low-cost MCU, a microcontroller that in one hand connected to the device and on the other end connected to the network, you already have sample code available from Valens and Xyte that is already running on this device, on this box, and you could actually have the experience out of the box, immediately connect, immediately go to the dashboard and see all the telemetrics, manage it from remote, update firmware from remote, get debug and logs out of the device remotely, and imagine the savings that you will have when issues are coming in the field. Instead of sending someone to the location, if you could have everything coming to you and available for you at the tip of your fingers. So if you already have a product, take advantage of this reference design with the reference code and start testing it, using it, and then applying it to your products.
Sounds good to me. So that's already available today, that VS3000 evaluation kit out of the box with Xyte enabled in it. Now, you know, Omer, you mentioned earlier, you talked about this single pane of glass, and I think that's a fascinating term, you know, considering the amount of things you're able to do with the system. So maybe you'd like to just talk us through exactly what you mean by that.
So I don't know if I can share my screen, but I'd love to show a quick snapshot of our platform. But generally, what we enable every OEM, and based on that design demo or the evaluation kit that Valens manufactures, every HDBaseT OEM can connect their devices to our cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, I froze for a second.
Okay, we see you great. We hear you great.
Okay, great. So let me just share my screen, and it's going to be interesting.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing and I'll hand over to you.
Fine, there you go. So based on that design kit, every OEM can take that essentially example code from Valens, and very, very easily cloudify its devices, very easily connect its devices to the Xyte platform. And what you see now, and that will not be a detailed demo, I'll be happy to connect anyone that is interested with our sales and customer success team. But everything you see here is that the end user experience. So in this environment here, I have a few displays that I manage, and I'll see my entire spatial graph. I'll see my entire organizational tree with different location. I can take a look at my devices in South Africa or in the US. And for each one of these devices, each one of them will be slightly different. Like we said before, an HDBaseT will have different kind of data compared to a Dante device, compared to a display. But once I click that display, I will see the exact data coming from this display with a nice widget overview. I can also, as the IT manager of this, I think it's called Green Energy Corporate, I can remotely reboot, update the firmware, or remotely administrate any command that I want on my devices. I can store warranties here, I can configure all of my files, and there's a bunch of other things that I can do here. Once again, I can do it for every device that supports the Xyte platform, including my own in-house developed devices. But let me show you one thing that I think will make it even better for system integrators, or for system integrator. As a system integrator, or as a managed service provider, I would like to connect with more than one customers, and I would like to offer them my post-sales services, to offer them remote managed services to the cloud platform. Specific for system integrator, we have a single pane of glass dashboard where they can see all of their customers, and they can see all of their tickets and incidents coming from all of their customers. So now I can remotely troubleshoot what's going on with that Green Energy Corporate, and I can take a snapshot and see how's that customer operating, hopefully remotely solve that issue for him without, once again, roll trucks to the on-site. But if I have to, can still go there, but still I'll be proactively finding the issues and not have to wait for the actual end users to go to the space and having their display or the HDBaseT link for some reason not working as planned. So there's a bunch of other features on the platform. It's a great tool for system integrators to store all their project files and once again manage the warranties and so on. I don't think it's the scope of this conversation today, but we'll be happy to show that to system integrators and end users that are interested.
It looks like an incredible system. I've had a little play around with it myself, and as you say, I mean, if it's the ability really to kind of avoid having to send somebody if you don't need to, and if you do still need to do it, at least you've got the pre-information to get there equipped already with some understanding of what's going on. Now, listen, we've had a question come in, and I think it's perfect timing now to ask it for you. The question is, what hardware or software stack would be required locally to bridge the Xyte API with various local equipment APIs where manufacturers have not included this in their product directly?
Yeah. So in case of a manufacturer has not included that in their device firmware that natively support the Xyte cloud, system integrators that once again has the skill set and the knowledge to develop for cloud technologies, they can go to our developer hub. If you go to dev.xyte.io, you have a full set of our APIs. We'll be happy to set you with an account to try it out and connect actual devices. And what we see, system integrators or solution providers, what they sometimes do, they take some sort of a PC, it can be a Windows-based, it can be a Linux-based, it can be a Crestron or an AMX control system, and they have that device act as a gateway. And our platform, will show you quickly, our platform support what we call a parent-child architecture. So I can have an edge device that has several child devices attached to it. In that case, I will have a control system communicating with display, querying the display for information, and reporting this information back to the cloud. And this is how you can do it in cases where the OEM did not develop the cloud.
Okay, so I hope that answers the question that came in.
Do you want to address that question?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we normally do at the end. We have some more questions coming in, so maybe one here for Nick. Thanks for acknowledging that. Gabi, talking standard. Let's go back to where we were at the beginning. Would appreciate your point of view on IPMX, both as a potential AV over IP standard and as a management control standard, NMOS, etc. So, I mean, maybe I may also want to address that afterwards.
So I think that IPMX could be one of those standards, like the others that we mentioned earlier in the slides. Definitely, it has the potential. It is based on the SMPTE 2110 standard, which is well known in the broadcast. NMOS is a management platform could do some of the activities that the Xyte can do. I think that the Xyte value here is that you could really monitor, manage, update firmware from remote, get debug log files from the system. If implemented properly, you get much more from the Xyte platform than the NMOS. The NMOS was really designed to set up the network, to route the streams and so on. You could do that with the Xyte, but with the Xyte you can get much more. For example, with the Xyte platform, you could monitor your displays and your sources regardless of the vendor. I'm not sure you could really do that with the NMOS as well. So it's an option also to control products that are based and are managed through the NMOS, and also you can get more value because it looks at different standards and different manufacturers and a different type of equipment. So I think it's a more comprehensive option for management and maintenance.
Thank you. Omer, you gave us a teaser earlier, and you put it in the slides as well. You know, we have InfoComm literally just around the corner, right? At the beginning of June, middle of June. So maybe you'd just like to give us a few words on this as well.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So for InfoComm, you know, we all know Intel NUC PCs, right? They're playing such a major role in our industry, mostly for UCC, Zoom rooms, Teams rooms, and so on, but for other applications as well. And we are very fortunate to have together with us at InfoComm, Brian McCarson. Brian is the Vice President and GM at Intel for their entire NUC business. And at this point, unfortunately, I cannot elaborate much on our partnership with Intel, but I can tell you it is one that pretty is very amazing at this point. And Brian will come specifically, or especially for InfoComm, to talk with us about the opportunity for cloudifying hardware devices and the opportunity for as a service. And hopefully we'll be able to also elaborate a bit about what we are doing together with Intel, which I think will have a great impact on our industry. So I invite everybody. I think it's going to be a very, very decent session.
Sounds like it. And I guess you can register for that session through the InfoComm website, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so yeah, I think everybody, if this is a topic that's relevant to you, and I'm sure it is, then definitely if you're in Florida month after next, do go in and register for that session. I think it's going to be fascinating. I agree. I'm also intrigued to know, so I think I'm going to register myself there. And of course, it's a point to mention that the HDBaseT Alliance will also be at InfoComm. And you know, if you're going to be there visiting Omer, then please do also stop by and visit us as well. So I think actually that kind of pretty much brings us to the end of the slides and of the discussion. But of course, this is now the time to tackle more of the Q&A that's been coming in. If you haven't yet sent your questions, then please do so. As I say, it's as simple as going into the questions pane in the GoToWebinar control panel. Do send them and we'll tackle them as they come in. Omer, I think here's the next couple I'm going to ask are going to be for you, and it'd be interesting what you could share. First of all, what is the rough cost to the end user who wants to use the Xyte system?
Yeah, so that's a great question. The rough cost for the end user who wants to use the system is absolutely zero for the beginning. We don't charge end user for most of the functionality. We will be introducing at InfoComm some additional optional premium capabilities in the platform, including integration to some large ticketing systems such as ServiceNow, Jira, and others, as well as some more advanced features that end user can choose but to subscribe for. But everything else, the device configuration, everything else is free of charge.
Wow. Okay. Great answer.
And if you're a equipment vendor, maybe a high level, what's the model?
So we have different tiers for OEM. It's actually published on our website. It depends on what exactly the OEM is looking for in the platform. But once again, it depends on the case by case.
Maybe by the time other questions that are coming, I want to emphasize the point that I made earlier. At the end of the day, we need to figure out what's the best way to solve our end customer problem. And the end customer will be, at the end of the day, for all of us, the end user. And we realize that you need to combine different technologies to solve the end user problem. But ideally, you want to have a centralized platform, and this is what really Xyte is bringing to the table here, a centralized platform that can help you use different sorts of equipment, sorts of technologies, but yet manage it from a centralized location at a reasonable effort, at a reasonable price to the different people along the chain. That's important to remember.
Omer, another question for you. How complicated is it to connect to the Xyte cloud?
Oh, super simple. I can't share my screen any longer, but simply go to app.xyte.io and you create an account, and that's it. We'll be happy. We're still finalizing some of the self-onboarding experience, but for those of you that are interested, we'll be happy to connect you with our sales and customer success team and walk you through the onboarding, but very, very simple to use. No need to set up any servers or open any ports. It's a pure cloud platform like you'd expect today.
Yeah, I see an interesting question here about Zoom and Team, but and I want to spend a minute about, I think Zoom and Team did a great service to the AV market, and the way we interact today, the way we teach, the way we work on a daily basis is very much influenced by these, let's say, collaboration platforms. And it also changes the way the AV industry is solving problems now for enterprise and for education. So it's a very important thing, and I see a very good question here about how this is. Can we leverage Xyte and Zoom and Team platforms generically, these collaboration platforms? Omer, maybe you can say something about it.
So Xyte natively integrate with the Zoom cloud and the Microsoft Teams cloud, and with a single press of a button, you can import your entire Zoom rooms and Microsoft Teams rooms. Can be thousands. We have customers with thousands of Microsoft Teams rooms today monitored through the Xyte platform. It's a cloud-to-cloud connection. Once again, completely agnostic to the actual device running the MTR, and that will allow the end user, the system integrators, to monitor not only the PC itself, but also all the peripherals. So USB, speaker, microphone, camera, the scheduling panel for Zoom rooms as well. When any of those goes offline, you'll immediately be notified to the Xyte platform.
Amazing, amazing. A question's just come in. Does Xyte have a Power BI connector, for example, to use for reporting KPIs to customers by site, by device, etc.?
Yeah, we don't currently have a specific Power BI connector. That's something on the roadmap. However, we do have an API for you to extract data, as well as built-in webhooks for you to be proactively informed on different incidents in the platform as well, if you're looking to connect that to a ticketing system that we don't currently natively support. So the short answer is yes, it can be done. The longer answer will make it better down the roadmap.
Okay, very good. A question for Gabi. If I want to try the Valens EVK, what's the best way of getting hold of it, Gabi?
Go online, www.valens.com. You have a way to request for an EVK and buy one.
Perfect, perfect. For now, that's all of the questions. I'm just going to give a few seconds more to see if anybody has anything more they would like to ask. As I say, you have access here to two real experts. So whether it's about Valens or Xyte, I'll give you just a few more seconds. But gentlemen, I mean, thank you. I mean, some great questions came in and some excellent answers. Omer, I'm sure people are very happy to hear that for the end user, there's no cost involved. I think you really struck up on that answer there.
Free is the best price, isn't it?
Free as always.
And we have Infocom coming soon, so looking forward to see you guys in person. We'll be happy to meet.
Alrighty, so no more questions coming in. So I'm going to take this opportunity to thank you, Gabi, and Omer for really taking time out of your busy days to walk us through what is a very interesting and, of course, extremely critical topic for our industry. You know, I love talking to you guys as always. I'm completely blown away by the depth and breadth of the knowledge you have in the industry. So thank you, as always, for sharing that with us. And to you, our audience, thank you so much for joining us. Do keep an eye, as I said at the beginning, on your email inbox. From about an hour from now, we'll be sending you the links to the downloadable copy of the presentation, as well as the video recording of today's session. And from the HDBaseT Alliance viewpoint, then please be sure to follow us on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/company/HDBaseT-Alliance. You can find their announcements on future webinars. And of course, we have a ton of other information there, case studies, educational resources, updates, and so much more. Of course, Valens is valens.com.
Yes.
Xyte, Omer, your website is?
Xyte.io.
Xyte.io. There it is on the screen even. I don't see it right now. Well, listen, gents, once again, many, many thanks. And to our audience, once again, thank you so much. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That's all there.